You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast brought to you by NBA 2K23. Mo Mootsie alongside, as always, BJ Armstrong. BJ, how you doing?
Real name, no gimmicks.
Hey,
Fantastic.
hey.
Big win tonight for your Warriors.
My
By
worry.
the way, yeah, your Warriors. But I'm gonna tell you something. Your Celtics looked terrific last night. That was a nice win. Nice
Well,
win on the road for the Celtics.
that's the Time Lord returning to the lineup. But before we get
Yes,
into
it
the
is.
basketball, before we get
Yes.
into the basketball, Ramadan Mubarak. If you don't know what that
Oh,
means, the holy month of Ramadan has just begun.
yes.
So
Yes.
for me, myself, and other Muslims and other people that are observing the month around the world, sunrise to sunset, no food, no water, no nothing. We're feeding our soul this month. So
Yes.
if you
Yes.
hear my voice go a little crackly on the air, then you'll know why.
I
However,
understand.
it's currently 2:37 a.m., so I can drink water until the sun comes up in 2 hours. So I'm bringing the heat today.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So we got a lot to talk about. The Warriors versus Mavericks game that just finished.
Okay.
Crazy game. Warriors win by two. There's my
Yes.
voice going weird already. The Warriors win by two. Terrible late game execution by the Mavericks in terms of that final play. Draymond Green did a great job of playing defense on Luka Doncic, who was trying to go for a quick two, and they were down three with 8 seconds left. But they lost by two, and there was a play, I think, in the third quarter after a timeout where the Mavs thought it was their ball. The refs changed the call during the timeout, but didn't notify the Mavericks, giving the ball to the Warriors to inbound a wide open layup with no Mavericks player there to defend it at all. The Mavericks are actually now going to petition the NBA officially about the way that that game was officiated. BJ, did you see what happened in that third quarter there?
I did not. I didn't see that. So I did not watch that game. I was watching actually the Knicks Miami game, and I was kind of going back and forth. So I did miss that play. I wanted to see the Knicks Miami, Eastern Conference game that I was kind of intrigued with, and with Miami winning. But I didn't see the game. But I've heard it now from a few people, and I got to go back and watch that
yeah,
replay.
because it looked like the Mavs just had a mental lapse. They fell asleep. But Mark Cuban got on Twitter, as he does, and he explained what actually happened. And if what he says is to believe to be true, that's very poor from the officials. But, we've seen some great action around the NBA. But a topic came up today on ESPN that I wanted to get your take on, BJ.
Okay.
JJ Redick and Stephen A. Smith. For once,
Okay.
they were not screaming and shouting,
Oh. Oh
debating
wow.
analytics or who's the GOAT.
Okay.
They were actually having quite a good conversation. And their
Okay.
conversation was which team is set up to be the best. I don't know if it was over the next 5 years or 5 years from now. And
Okay.
they picked the OKC Thunder with Shai Alexander making a leap. They've got Williams making a late push for Rookie of the Year. They've got Chet Holmgren, who's not even played yet. They've got a whole bunch of draft picks. They picked the OKC Thunder. So I wanted to put that question to you, Mr. BJ Armstrong. Which NBA team is right now set up the best that in 5 years' time you think they're going to be dominating the NBA?
Well, dominating is a big word, bro. That means now you're talking about two or more championships, right? When you say
Because
dominating,
5 years ago, they wouldn't have expected the Warriors to be reigning champions again.
yeah, yes. So, you're saying dominating. Okay. When you look at Shea Alexander, when you look at Josh Giddey, um, what's the kid? Williams.
Jaden Williams.
Yeah, Jaden Williams. Okay. Holmgren is not even playing. They're playing meaningful games. I would agree with that on paper. I would agree with that. I would look at their team and go, wow, that's an interesting team. Okay. And because they are winning right now and they have excellent guard play, I agree with what they're saying. Okay. I agree with that. I agree with everything they're saying.
Okay.
Okay. I agree with that. I also look around the league and I go, I like Minnesota. Okay.
Really?
I think Minnesota is set up, right? Because this kid, Anthony Edwards, of his age.
Mm.
And they've been doing this without. He just returned today or last night or whatever.
Yeah, Carl Towns came in tonight and hit a couple threes. Yeah. Welcome back, Cap.
I like Anthony Edwards alone. To me, at his age and what he's doing, I'm saying, okay, he's going to be a problem.
However, the team is not set up for 5 years from now. Rudy Gobert is not going to be the same as he is now in 5 years. Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be an even worse defender 5 years from now. And they traded away all of their draft picks. So as much as I also love Anthony Edwards, and I think in 5 years he's going to be one of the biggest stars in the league, I don't think that they're in the same conversation when it comes to a team perspective. Because if we're going to go down that route, then it's the Mavericks because they've got Luka. It's the Bucks because in 5 years Giannis will still be dominating everyone. So I'm looking at it from a team perspective. So I like OKC. I've got a couple other teams.
I still like the Minnesota team. Reason being is because I love their youth, and this is a transaction league. I'm not worried about Rudy Gobert, and I'm not worried about Karl-Anthony Towns because they've won this year without Karl-Anthony Towns, and they've won without.
I wouldn't call this season they've won. Like, they've won some regular season games, but this season is not a win. This season, compared to their expectations after trading their entire future for a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year, has been far below what everyone would have been expecting when they made that move.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair if everyone was healthy. However, I'm just telling you what I see. If I'm a GM, I'm going, wow, this kid is an impactful player minus Rudy Gobert, who's an all-star, minus Karl-Anthony Towns. They're playing meaningful games, and they're right around 500. And they made a trade halfway during the year. So when I see players, as you know, Mo, I love dysfunction. I love it. When I see players who can function in a dysfunctional situation, I start celebrating. Anthony Edwards has provided leadership at his age by being he's the mainstay in everything that's going on. He's got Karl-Anthony Towns out. He hasn't played since November. Rudy Gobert, everyone was saying that trade didn't work. Okay. They make another trade with D'Angelo and do all this stuff, and they're still playing meaningful games. And I'm going, wow, with just a little stability and the right pieces around him, I think they're set up. I think they're set up beautifully because at some point, I think they can recover with the trade. So that's just me.
I agree. I agree with your take on Anthony Edwards. However, the fact that you're saying that they can recover from the trade XYZ, there's a couple of teams that I think are in better positions team-wise. The OKC Thunder being one of them. But my main two, and this is putting aside, like I said, Luka and Giannis and the other players who we know are going to be great. Number one for me is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, I heard Brian Windhorst the other day say they're in a difficult situation to go from a good team to an elite team. But when you look at it, Donovan Mitchell's only 26. Jarrett Allen, Donovan Mitchell, who's an all-star, by the way, who dropped 71 this season. Jarrett Allen, who was an all-star last year, is 24, and he could be a future Defensive Player of the Year. Darius Garland, who's been an all-star, is only 23. And Evan Mobley, who can be an all-star pretty soon and could well be a Defensive Player of the Year in future, is only 21 years old. So I look at that team, and I think that as a team, with no need to recover from mistakes that they've made, and I get that it's a transactional league, and Timberwolves can find a replacement for Mike Conley, and they can find a replacement for Gobert, X, Y, Z. But that team already, if they just keep those pieces and keep the wheels in motion, obviously nothing's guaranteed in this league, and things can happen. Evan Mobley, he might get his contract, they might not be paying what he wants, X, Y, Z.
Well, yeah, I'm concerned about that team. Yeah, why? I'm concerned. I'm really concerned for the Cavs. And again, this is just my take on it. The reason I like Minnesota is because I know they can play a brand of basketball with a player who will be a top 10 player in a winning situation, meaning he can play competitive and get you alone without any team and all that stuff. When I say team, you have to put people in their right places, okay? Anthony Edwards he's a number one guy. He's a number one guy. Dog. He's not dog. Only not just because of what he does on the offensive end, it's because what he does on the defensive end. And you have to have consistency to be able to play. He is a number one option. It's just my humble opinion. Because I know he's a number one option, I know it's far easier to build around that than to do what Cleveland has to do, in my opinion. Okay. And this is why I like them. I like Minnesota better than OKC. And the reason being is because OKC, you can't win without bigs. You can win regular season games without bigs. but you can't win. You said dominate.
Agreed. But
can't win without bigs. And they don't have an interior big that can play below the free throw line.
But then what about the Cavaliers? Do you like the Timberwolves better than the Cavaliers because they have two great bigs?
Okay. Now let's get to the Cavaliers. I've said it before he got drafted. I'm going to say it again. The best player, in my humble opinion, will have to be Evan Mobley.
Yes.
Okay. I've been consistent saying that. Donovan Mitchell, yes, he's an all-star. Darius Garland, yes, he's an all-star. Jared Allen, yes, he's an all-star. However, the best player is Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
And if you're going to win and dominate, Evan Mobley has to be the main guy that you're going to play through. I'm not sure how, at this stage of their career, based on their team, how they're going to change their entire philosophy to play through Evan Mobley with not one, but two all-star caliber guards. I think Jared Allen can do it because he's a big. Bigs will figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening with those guards. And those guards are small. They're a small backcourt. Okay. And when the game slows down in the playoffs, right, he's going to have to guard Jason Tatum, Chris Middleton. Okay. And that to me is a problem. Now I'm looking at you. You said dominate. So I'm looking at it.
Okay.
My formula for a great team is always the same. You got to have big. That means length at every position. You got to have strong, meaning can you play through the physical contact of the game? You got to have, toughness. And the final thing, you better what kind of level of athletes that you have. Okay. The best player that fits that, he may not be strong right now, is Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, they're going to have to
He's
play
only
through.
21.
He's only 21. However, at some point, they're going to have to make a transition, in my opinion. If you're going to be, in my opinion, to play through him, which is going to take away from one of those guards. And one of those guards are going to have to figure out how to play differently, which I'm not sure they're going to do. I'm not sure. I don't know if suddenly Donovan Mitchell is going to say, you know what, I'm an 18-point scorer. I don't know if Garland is going to do. I don't know. But what I do know is Evan Mobley is going to do it. Now, as I'm looking at the game, I'm saying dominate. That's the key word.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to be so far out there. If you're saying who has the best chance, because I always look for big, strong, tough athletes, right? In the definition, right? Here. Cade Cunningham is not playing. He's big. Jaden Ivey, he's big. They're getting big. They have Duren, the Pistons. They have Wiseman. Okay. Now, at some point, you're going to figure out whether they can or not. But you need a level of athlete that's going to allow you to play. So none of these teams are perfect, but just from a physical standpoint, just the physicality of the game, I'm looking at the best teams in the league as is right now. So, okay. Jokic is the best player in the Western Conference. Which one of those teams could match up the best with them, right? Cleveland, Detroit, OKC. And then in the Eastern Conference, the best bigs are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers and your Boston Celtics. Okay. I like the guard play. The guard play for OKC is amazing. That's a bad matchup for you in the regular season. However, OKC, Philadelphia, I don't think they have enough bigs. I don't like that. You can look at the guard play or whatever for other teams. You can attack. No team is perfect. However, if you look at the thing that's consistent in this league with the best teams in the league, they all have bigs. And that to me is the key. Cleveland, if they play through their bigs or play through that kid, Evan Mobley, now I think that allows them to play competitively with the Milwaukee Bucks, with the Philadelphia 76ers, with the Boston Celtics, with Denver.
Yes.
I don't think OKC is ready to do that. And the Detroit Pistons aren't ready to do it right now. However, those are big young kids that they have. Yeah. So who to say who's the best? I don't know, because you need a combination of all.
I have one more team, if we're talking about 5 years from now, a team that's already in the mindset of competing, but is very young. I'm talking about, a 23-year-old Jaren Jackson Jr., 23-year-old Ja Morant, 24-year-old Desmond Bane, 26-year-old Brandon Clark. I think the Grizzlies are pretty well set up for the next 5 years as well.
I like their ages. However, Jaren Jackson is an interesting player to me because he is big. I mean, he's literally a 7 foot.
He could be the defensive player of the year.
He is. He could be. I like the toughness of Dillon Brooks. Actually, I love Dillon Brooks.
Yeah,
the kid Baines, I think, is terrific. Okay. They're not big though. When I say big, they're not tall for their positions. Okay. So Ja, Dillon, and Baines are not tall for their positions. They're tough. Now they fit other criteria in which, we've gone through. We don't have to go through that again. So I think that will always be a problem. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see how they're going to address that 4 or 5 years from now once Steven Adams is no longer there. Because what we do know is he's
only 29.
He's 29, but you're going to have to address that situation with him because your best player, Ja Morant, has to attack the basket.
Yeah.
So that's only going to allow him to play 30 minutes max during the course of a game because you got to keep the court open, and he's not a three-point shooter a la Brook Lopez. Every team has a problem. I'm just looking at saying, who could they dominate? And the one kid just got hurt, his Achilles, which I loved him too. I can't think of his name right now.
Brandon Clark.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any team out there, but if you said it, I would agree just off the cuff. I would say the OKC Thunder, just because they're playing the most meaningful games for a team right now that no one expected to be here. However, I'm not convinced because they're going to have to address their bigs if you're going to play.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask the listeners for something now. I need one of you listeners at home, whoever's very responsible, go in your iPhone or Android or whatever app you use for your calendar and set a reminder for the 23rd of March, 2028. And then tweet us on that day. And we will rewatch this conversation and we will see which team has ended up being the best. And I bet you it's none of the teams we've discussed.
Well, of course it's not, because every year they do a draft. Wembanyama exactly. Is coming. He's going to make it, going to change the whole conversation. That's what I'm saying. So
these are MC Edwards could wake up and leave and all these other things.
Are fun. These are fun conversations. But listen, there's going to be 5 more first-round picks. Akeem Olajuwon or a player of that magnitude could be in the draft. Certainly will probably be in that draft. And that changes everything. Injuries happen. Trades happen. Guys go from one team, free agency happens. So in saying all of that, none of this really matters. However, what I can say is this. We know that whoever's going to dominate in the next 5 to 7 years, if that's even possible, will have big, strong, tough athletes. Okay. Mm-hmm. That formula has worked since the beginning and will always be the formula for great players. So whoever drafts big guards will have an advantage. Or Kevin Durant is, when I say big, I mean size and length at their position. Kevin Durant is a 7-foot small forward. People don't realize how big Jason Tatum is until you get up on him. Jason Tatum is every bit of 6'10".
He's like 6'11". He's like huge now.
Huge. That's what I'm saying. You don't realize how big he is. Okay. You don't realize how big Joel Embiid is. Giannis. So when
Joel, should I tell you about the first day I met Joel Embiid? Our first day I met Joel Embiid, he's walking towards me. And I kid you not, the floor is literally moving with every step he takes.
He's huge.
Because he's giant.
So I'm saying and go ahead.
No, I agree completely. Unless you find an anomaly, which is Stephen Curry, but the chances of finding a Stephen Curry are literally one in a million.
Mo, I've said this to you before. At one point, Mo, because the game was played more from the interior, you would see strong athletes all the time who were able to play through contact. Now, if you looked around the league, in my opinion, there's only 2 power forwards that do that now.
Yeah, we have this power forward
Julius Randle is one, and Zion. So when you find someone who can play through contact, a la Giannis, a la Jokic, a la Mo, do you know how much of an advantage that is for whatever team that player plays for in the playoffs? Because we all know the game is going to get what? It's going to get more physical. So when you find a player who can play through the contact, when you find a player that has the mental along with the physical toughness to play in this game, huge advantage. And of course, Mo, when you see athletes like a LeBron James or athletes like these guys, some of these guys are, you go, there's no counter for speed and quickness. So when you find that combination with a team, you have an advantage to play. Now you can play advantage basketball. And that's what the game is always looking for. Where is your advantage? Whoever has that player will be the most dominant team in the next 5 years. And it'll be fun to watch. But more importantly, for these executives, it's fun to put that together. It's fun to coach a team like that. So we'll see.
Well, another fun conversation. We kind of dived into it a little bit recently. But I want to ask you, after watching that Warriors-Maps game, the Warriors seem to have conquered their road demons and got a win on the road, second one in a row. The Western Conference, BJ, it got me thinking, right? Who in the West is beating the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series? Because they're still without Wiggins, who should be coming back at some point. Steve Kerr said that they hope to get Wiggins and Gary Payton back, both those guys being huge for their championship run. If I had to put you on the spot and press you for a name right now, because I think health is the most important thing. KD coming back.
If you're saying LeBron in a series
for the Suns, LeBron coming back for the Lakers, who are you picking in the West? I think about this every day for most of the day.
Well, I will say this. I'm just I have to go by what I see. Okay. Now what I see and what I feel is 2 different things. So I'm going to go by what I see. Based on what I've seen, the Warriors are probably in the second tier of the Western Conference. I don't think they're in the top 4 based on what I've seen.
Give me your tiers.
Well, I think Denver, I think Memphis, I think Sacramento, and I think Phoenix are probably in the first tier.
I don't have Denver in my first tier. I know it sounds ridiculous because
they've been the most consistent. But again, I understand how you may feel. Based on what I've seen, I got to give them their respect. I don't care what I may think about them. They're number 1 for a reason. There's something in that team that maybe I may not be seeing. I don't watch them every night. I watch them, I've watched a fair amount of their games, but I have to give them their respect. And I have to give them their respect that they have a player that I know is a top 5 player. I know that. And for the most part, he will have the advantage on the offensive end in every series he plays in. Okay. If he's not the best player in that series, without question, he'll be the second best player in that series, no matter what.
It's only like Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry we're talking offensively.
Because it always comes down to the matchups, okay? It always comes down to matchups. So, but I do think the Warriors are in the next tier. I don't know where they're at, 5, 6, 7, or 8, but I do think they're in that next tier. And I don't think it really matters to them as long as they get in. Okay, so go ahead.
When we talk about winning the conference, though, give me your top 3 in order from 3 to 1 of who you actually think.
I think if the Phoenix Suns are healthy with Kevin Durant, I think that's a team with Kevin Durant and Booker.
And it speaks to the greatness of Kevin Durant that no other player, I don't think any other player in the league can go to a new franchise, miss all this time with injury, and turn up on the first day of the postseason, and you still think that they can make a run at the finals. That's just how great he is at basketball player. That he can just slot in and play.
Listen, do I think he's going to do that? Do I think it's going to be easy? No, I don't. However, the way they play today in the games and the ability to rest, see, that's the key. When I get to the playoffs, you're not traveling every day to go to another city. You play, you probably have a couple of days off, and you stay in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Just like playing in the bubble was probably easier than playing during the regular season, because you walk to the bus, you ride over to the game, you ride back, and now treatment is like you've got double the time for treatment.
Yep.
Okay. Do I think Kevin Durant on 2 days, 3 days rest playing in the playoffs with his experience? That's a check for him. It's not like there aren't a lot of players who could do that, but I think he has enough game experience. He's a championship caliber player where he could do that. Now, I'm not advising people to do that, but I think he can do it. So I think if they're healthy with DeAndre Ayton size, Kevin Durant size, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul, I think they're poised to really make a playoff.
So who's the other two?
Okay. I think I got to go with Denver. I'm going to give Denver their respect. Even though I don't believe it, I'm going to respect them. And the reason I'm going to respect them is because Jokic has shown me this. No matter who's playing, he's always in the game. He's always in the game.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, and I'm going to respect this about him, Mo. Yes, I every team I see the flaws, right? So I'm just going, God, I wouldn't mind attacking them, right? Why? Because I can see what I can do. However, you know what I really respect about them, and I don't want to discredit. I know Jokic is going to show up every game and play.
Yep, no doubt.
So with that, Mo, you're going to have to beat him. He's not going to beat himself. And when you're a big Mo and you're capable of doing a triple-double, playing within the framework of a team, that says something, regardless of what you're doing, okay? You could be a guard and not shoot the ball well. Well, Jokic is going to shoot over 50%. I can about put that in pen. He's going to be somewhere near triple-double. And at some game or two, he will win a game or two in a series by himself. Mm-hmm. And if he gets that unlikely contribution that I'm always looking for, he can win a series by himself. If he just gets a little
we're
help.
Ready for the Bruce Brown game.
Gordon. So I'm going to say him, okay, and then I'm going to say, then I'm going to say Sacramento. Ooh. And the reason I'm going to say Sacramento because of this. They've been playing hard from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
They play confident. Now you could see the one thing that bothers them. When you bring a more physical style of play versus them, they're not as successful. However, you know, and what does that look like? They play the Celtics, they lose. The Knicks came out there and beat them up, even though they did win. The Knicks had 21 offensive rebounds. Okay. Mm-hmm. But they did win the game, but Coach Brown was not happy about it. And then Milwaukee beat them up. So your Celtics, Milwaukee, and the Knicks, who are all in the Eastern Conference, plays that physical style of play against them.
We're going to talk about it on tomorrow's show.
And then that bothers them. However, those teams are out East. So if they play the Memphis Grizzlies, that style is good. If they play the Warriors, that style, I think they play the Warriors style of basketball better than the Warriors right now.
Shouts to Mike Brown.
Okay. I think they're a better pace team than Memphis. I think they're a better pace team than all the other guys.
He said that Sabonis is the closest he's seen to Draymond in terms of grabbing a rebound, pushing the ball out on the court, making the right read.
He plays the five. That of course. Draymond starts at the four. People, if you want to just break it down to make it real simple, Draymond came in this league as a three. Yeah. At his size.
Well, he came in the league. The reason why he fell to the second round is because back then, I think it was 2012, he was drafted. Scouts and teams didn't know what position he'd play because he wasn't quick enough to be a three and he wasn't big enough to be a four. This was before small ball came along fully. So that's the reason why he fell down to the second round.
Absolutely. So with that, and then he started playing the four, and then no one, myself included, imagined that he was going to be playing the five. And now he can bring the ball up the court. And that's what Sabonis does for a full 48 minutes. So, of course, because no one, the centers, as I tell you all the time, Mo, that's the last position that's figured out how to play in this era. So Sabonis is doing exactly what Draymond does, except he's a better offensive player and he plays one position. He doesn't go back to the 4. Okay. So I think he's great. I think that's great. But I think they can play a style better than anyone else in the Western Conference. I think they're the fastest team in the Western Conference, whether they played OKC, whether they played Golden State, whether they played Minnesota, whether they played the Clippers. I think their speed is a problem for any team. Now, if you can beat them up a little bit now, because their power forward is Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes and Giannis is a problem. Harrison Barnes versus, Julius Randle, that's a problem. But Harrison Barnes, if Zion was healthy, that's a problem. Okay.
Yeah, but lucky for them, they don't see any of those guys in the West.
There you go. And that's why I think those would be my top 3 if everybody was healthy.
I hear exactly where you come from, and I think they're great picks. I'm going to throw all basketball logic out of the window.
Okay.
And say I'm right there with you if KD's healthy. I think the Warriors, when we talk about championship DNA, if they get Wiggins back, I like the Warriors in 7 games against anyone. Their experience and Stephen Curry, and if we get a Game 6 Clay, I don't think anyone's messing with the Warriors.
I can't argue with that.
Because I'm throwing all logic out the window here. Give me the Lakers. If LeBron's healthy, then I just have this vision that this is all going to accumulate in NBA Twitter hell if the Lakers somehow do something in the playoffs this year.
Well, I just hope they get in. They've been incredibly inconsistent.
If they can get in and LeBron can get healthy in a series with a healthy LeBron and a healthy AD, which is a big caveat, but a healthy LeBron and a healthy AD, I like what D'Lo brings. I like what Vanderbilt brings. Austin Reeves is playing great. I like the Lake, and I may be completely delusional here, but I've learned over the years to trust LeBron James.
Okay, well, if that's what you're doing, trust LeBron James. If that's what you're doing, I'm not arguing. I'm just, we'll see. We'll see in a couple of weeks. We will find out. We've been waiting 70 games. What's 10 more games now at this point?
Well,
we've been waiting.
What I really want to do, I want to go to Sacramento for their home opener of the playoffs. That's what I really want to do.
And like
I think we should go there. I think we should go there because I think that would be crazy.
That would be great. I think they have a good thing going up there right now. They're playing terrific. I think Mike Brown is the coach of the year. De'Aaron Fox is wow. Sabonis has been wow. I mean, Malik Monk and these guys, Keegan Murray's, he's got to be first team rookie team. I mean, they've been playing a great brand of basketball. And I'm just excited for their franchise because it's been 16 years, I think.
Bro, we didn't even have iPhones. Instagram didn't even exist.
Right.
The last time they were in the playoffs.
And to think they are the 3rd best team right now in the Western Conference. Wow. That's great. Yeah. How about that? They could be the number 2. Yeah.
Man, I'm so excited for the playoffs. And I'm so excited to bring you guys at home more content from the NBA, as we'll be doing this every day, Monday to Friday, as we progress through the NBA season and beyond. So make sure you subscribe to the show. Make sure that you join the Discord. We've got some great conversations happening in there. You guys don't want to miss out on that. The link is in the description. So get involved in the Discord. Share the podcast with your friends and all that good stuff. Help us grow. It would be much, much appreciated. And most importantly, until next time, you guys know the vibes. Get buckets.